and welcome to today's episode of the Business Meets Fitness podcast with Lauren and James. And today we're going to be talking all about the pros and cons of HIIT training, LISS training, when to use which, and we're also going to define exactly what HIIT and LISS training are. And by the way, if you're an online fitness coach or you want to build an online fitness business, then I have a free email training for you. So I've left it linked in the show notes. Just go ahead and enter your name and email address and you will get that sent to you totally for free. So anyway, let's get into today's episode. So do you want to define to the listeners exactly what HIIT is and also what is LISS?
HIIT stands for high intensity interval training and LISS is low intensity steady state.
And so I'm often intrigued about HIIT training because I've heard along the grapevine that most people don't do HIIT training properly. Like, for example, when they go on the treadmill and they're doing their treadmill sprints. Now, as far as I'm aware, this isn't proper HIIT, and why is that?
Who did you hear that from?
Everybody.
Well, not that I just told you 30 seconds ago.
No, because I know for myself that you can't fully exert yourself when you're doing HIIT training on the treadmill.
Yeah, no, that's not HIIT. No one does HIIT properly. There's no way.
So why?
Because you physically can't work hard enough to truly actually put yourself in such a high intensity state. You're always going to kind of stop short. And you especially if you did HIIT properly, you'd need about 5 minutes rest between intervals.
Okay, so what exactly is HIIT then?
So HIIT would be literally, let's say we take the watt bike for example, and we're on the watt bike and we do a full exerted 20-second sprint. We'd then need 3 minutes to then be able to do another interval of similar intensity.
Because you're literally exerting yourself so hard that you can't possibly go any harder. Right?
Yeah, whereas when everyone does interval training, what they think's HIIT, their exertion decreases over the course of their intervals because they get tired.
Okay, so for the purpose of this podcast, we are essentially going to be comparing interval training and LISS, which is low intensity steady state, as formerly known as steady state cardio. Because realistically, we've now covered that the HIIT training that the majority of people do isn't necessarily HIIT training in itself. So we'll just call it interval training, or if we say HIIT, we're basically referring to interval training, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so shall we first of all start with the pros and the cons of HIIT training, aka interval training? What would you say the pros are?
It's quicker.
Mm-hmm.
It's far quicker than steady state.
To do what? To achieve what? Calorie burn.
There's a difficult one, that isn't it?
What is quicker, your movement or your calorie burn, or what? What's quicker?
Well, if you could keep the intensity up, then your caloric burn would be far quicker.
But isn't the point of HIIT training to not keep the intensity up the whole time?
No, but what I mean is if you could exert yourself properly through HIIT training, then to expend 300 calories doing HIIT, it'd be far quicker than expending 300 calories doing LISS.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. So at the same time, I think it still is quicker though, because even if you're doing interval training compared with LISS, to do 300 calories, realistically, it's probably still gonna be faster. Oh, actually, I'd love to quickly touch upon the afterburn effects and all of that, because this is something. Now, let me tell you a funny story. Back when Lauren was around, 17 years old, probably 16, maybe even 15 actually, getting into training, I always used to see Kayla It's whatever the hell her surname is, doing her BBG, her bikini bodyguard, or whatever it was. And she would always be banging on about the afterburn and how you burn extra calories after you finished her workouts. So would you be able to just dive into this a little bit? Because I think it's something that is often very misunderstood by people.
Just imagine if you could do a cardio session and continue to burn calories for the rest of the day.
Wouldn't it be great?
It'd be ideal. Basically it doesn't exist.
Okay, fine. Well, now
and if it does, it's 0.5 of a calorie per hour. It's not.
It's just the fact that muscle burns more than... let's talk about that another time. If the listeners want us to talk about that another time, please make sure to leave a little review and tell us. Anyway, so back to what we were talking about. So the pros of HIIT training. Now, I think a pro for me when it comes to interval training is that I really feel like I'm exerting myself, and I feel like I can if it's a 30-second sprint or a 30-second sled push or something, I can keep going until the end because I know that I'm going to get a bit of a rest. This is a pro for me. What do you think?
I'm biased. I've got no pros for HIIT training, really.
You got no?
I don't like it.
Okay. Why?
Because it's hard work.
Okay. But you love-
No. Pros, you could say, it's got athletic performance benefits, kind of lactate threshold benefits, and you're gonna retain more muscle doing HIIT training over LISS for sure.
But arguably, when you're doing HIIT training, you might recover. It might prevent you from recovering as good from your weight training sessions. So surely that might actually mean that you don't gain as much muscle.
Yeah, well, if you're in a calorie deficit, for example, and then you're doing HIIT training, it's gonna take you far longer to recover. Hence why when everyone's in a calorie deficit, they start doing LISS, because it's far easier to recover from. You probably don't even need to recover from a walk on the treadmill.
Yeah, definitely. But at the same time, I think when it comes to HIIT training, I think like what you were saying about when you're in a calorie deficit, it could then also cause your TDE to drop further because you might just be so knackered after it as well, right?
Yeah, well, have you ever done a HIIT session and just fallen asleep?
I can't say I have, no.
I have many a time.
Okay, well anyway, so now let's move on to LISS training. So first of all, when may somebody want to do HIIT training instead of LISS?
When they're short for time.
Short for time, or maybe if they are a sprinter.
Yeah, if they're after performance benefits, then yeah. But then you look at sprinters, that's probably a prime example of them actually doing HIIT properly.
Yes.
Because they do a 60-meter sprint in training, and then probably not sprint again for another 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, for sure. My friend Charlotte is a prime example of this. And also you'll find that a lot of their training is actually weight training as well.
Yeah.
And, I guess you could say that to a certain degree, weight training is HIIT training.
Yeah, technically.
If you've ever done GBT squats, you'll know what I'm saying.
Back in the day.
Every single session.
10 by 10.
That was me. I was that kid. But yeah, so obviously that is HIIT training now. I guess for me personally, I would do HIIT training if I felt like I was after a quick workout. For example, if I'm on holiday, my hotel doesn't have a gym, and I just want to get a really fast workout in because I want to go explore the area and I feel like I need a gym session. That's when I do a HIIT session. Personally, I would probably most of the other time. I wouldn't necessarily do it. I might incorporate some interval type thing into my overall training. For example, something that I've recently been really enjoying is doing tire flips in the gym, because my gym's now got a tire that you can flip. So I've been enjoying doing that, and that's something that I never used to do. I used to only do weights, or I'd do LISS. So this has been a nice addition to my workout because it really makes me sweat and it makes me feel like I'm pushing hard, which sometimes is a nice feeling, right?
Yeah. I do agree with you that sometimes it's nice to sweat, but you get that through doing LISS as well. I'd only ever do HIIT if I'm looking for trying to increase my power output kind of on the bike or something. I'd never choose to do HIIT over LISS.
Okay, so why do you like LISS so much?
It's nowhere near as hard. You don't have to recover. My goal would be I actually want to try and put on some muscle. So my main priority is my weight training. It's not going to be HIIT because I would struggle to recover from it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd always pick to do LISS over HIIT. My LISS tends to be a run outside or jumping on the bike outside. So I find that doing cardio outside, I get way better headspace. I enjoy it. I'm actually out there exploring. Whereas if I do HIIT outside, I'm literally going to run up a hill.
So how about people who maybe don't enjoy the endurance? Because I really hate it. I'd rather just kind of get it done.
Okay, but then it's entirely up to you, isn't it? Every day you go for a walk.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
technically,
sure.
that's LISS cardio.
That's LISS. Oh yeah, definitely, and that's something important to note because, like James said, I go for a walk every day because I really not only do I enjoy the health benefits, but I find that for my mindset, it's really important. So I mean, as it always seems as everything seems to be, it always comes back down to what do you enjoy, what can you do consistently, and why are you doing it. For example, if you're someone who is trying to make gains but you're a really hard gainer, why the hell are you even doing cardio?
Benji.
Yeah, James's brother is a prime example of this, and so you just have to think, okay, is this really in line with my goals? And then if it's a mindset thing, then you have to think, okay, if I'm going to be doing this, then I'm going to need to eat even more calories on top of that, because it comes down to, making sure that you are consuming the calories back if you're trying to build up that muscle, and just being sensible with it, I think, as well, because I think it can be very easy to let's say you're going for a walk every day, you're also going to the gym, maybe you end up going for a run as well. That is becoming so much exercise. So I think it's just kind of being aware of what it is exactly that you're doing, and just realizing that, you know, if some days you maybe don't get out for your daily run, or you aren't able to get your HIIT session in or whatever, like, it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world, and I think people do need to be careful of kind of over exerting themselves.
Yeah.
It's going to be way harder for someone to recover from a run. So let's say you go for a daily run, and then one day you feel your knees are shot because you've been running every day and it's Thursday. So you then just go for a walk, if LISS is your kind of thing. Like, I'd never then throw HIIT on top of it, because if you're going to do HIIT, it's going to involve some kind of lower body movement to get kind of the most bang for your buck. So you need to, going back to that episode we did on kind of overexerting yourself and fatigue.
I'll leave that linked in the show.
You need to kind of auto-regulate your cardio. If you like doing HIIT, at some stage you're going to have to do some LISS, purely just to kind of give your body a chance to recover, yet still getting that kind of expenditure up there.
Yeah, definitely. And something to note is that even when I go for a walk one day, or maybe I'm walking somewhere and also going for a walk, I do find that affects my recovery from my weight sessions. So it's important to just be aware of this, to balance it out over the week. And that's that, really. I mean, again, I just would like to wrap this up by kind of saying it depends what works for you. It depends what is in line with your goals, but just know that neither of them is magic. You're not going to burn extra calories and an afterburn effect through your HIIT or your interval training, as we really know that it is. And yeah, that's that, really.
Here's a question for you to finish. Is there such a thing as a fat burning zone?
Oh, well, actually, somebody asked me this the other day about, like, the whole heart rate thing. And I think if you're worrying about your heart rate too much in your workouts, I think it takes away from the actual workout. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree there.
But, like, the fat burning zone, like, that's how people now define a particular heart rate, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. It's like worrying about specific ingredients in. It's like worrying about what the best oat you can possibly consume is.
You know, I used to worry about that.
That's why I brought it up.
Genuinely, did I tell you that?
Yeah.
Before? Oh yeah.
It's one of those things that I just don't think is worth worrying about.
I know, but it's so funny because I used to worry, like, whether I should have jumbo oats or steel cut oats or oat flour, and it just shows how crazy, like, the fitness industry is when, I don't know, you're starting to think about all these stupid things. But anyway, one final point actually is, like, if you have clients who maybe absolutely hate doing steady state cardio, and you know for a fact if you give it to them that they're not going to stick to it and they'll just sack it off and pretend that they've done it, then maybe you could try giving them some HIIT workouts, aka interval workouts, because they may enjoy it more. So that's a way of kind of dealing with any clients that you may have who are proving to be a bit of a struggle when it comes to implementing cardio.
Yep, and my tip for HIIT with clients is stick them on the treadmill.
Why?
Because you set the speed of the treadmill, they have to keep up with it.
Yeah, good point.
Stick them on the bike and they kind of choose the intensity they work at.
Same thing with circuits.
Yeah, no matter how much you shout at them, they can still regulate the speed they go at.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas you set the treadmill, they've got to run or they're falling off.
Yeah, for sure. Well, even I think that's something that you can give to your online clients as well. But anyway, that's that for today's episode. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. And by the way, if you are interested in learning more all about science and evidence-based training and nutrition, then I definitely recommend getting a subscription to Mass. I've left it linked in the show notes. And you can even try it just for a month. It's around $19 a month, I believe. And I recommend it so much. And look, if you don't like it after that first month, just cancel your subscription and don't do it again. But I'm telling you now, you will absolutely love it because it is amazing. You will learn so much. And if you're a fitness professional, I think it's your duty to stay on top of matters, which is what you're doing by listening to the Business Meets Fitness podcast. But you can always further educate yourself and invest in yourself. That's what it's all about. You're not only investing in yourself, you're investing in your clients and your future. So we will see you in the next episode of the Business Meets Fitness podcast. By the way, if you've made it this far to the end of the Business Meets Fitness podcast today, then I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a review on the iTunes podcast app. It'd mean the world to us. We're nearly at 100 reviews, which is so cool. And I may even decide to do a cheeky little giveaway in the future for anybody who has indeed left a review. So I would really appreciate that, and we'll see you in the next episode.